is also an attempt at providing it through the cloud. So different architectures are getting defined and people are rallying into them. Now to make this CCRA happen, what does it take? Now let's take a peek inside. To develop the CCRA architecture, the tones and tones of documentation and around it, the APIs and the test cases and use cases and all the stuff, right? They have these work groups, work streams as they call it. They have the vertical work streams, starting right from consumability, scalability, resiliency, security, multi-tenancy, then the OSS aspects, the DSS aspects, the service models, right? Software as a service, platform as a service, then hybrid cloud, and then the governance aspects. So many of these vertical streams for CCRA 1, what you're seeing in red is the changes that have happened for 2.5. But even to do CCRA 1.0, they had to create these vertical streams and these horizontal streams. Use cases, non-functional requirements, architecture, component model, operational model, standards, architecture, decisions, service flow, right? So then they have these horizontal streams. You can almost imagine the template of the document that's coming out from the work streams, right? And there are, so that's the kind of complexity it takes to actually make a cloud happen, right? You guys are working on designing cloud or the components of it. But so inside of an organization and taking it out, that's the kind of complexity, and so many people coming together working on these aspects. It's a complex task. It's a multidisciplinary task. It requires people from different domains to be coming together. Because you talk about governance, you talk about metering, then you talk about multi-tenancy and scalability and performance. Very different skill sets you need. So this is what are the kind of, and this is also very different, right? A standards body is coming out with a practical guide to cloud computing, right? A mini 9-step plan for successful. Assemble your team, develop a business case. These are the kind of steps they are defining in the standards body for people to start thinking about moving to cloud. And I'm sure behind them there's a lot more technical detail, right? Behind each one of them, there's probably a chapter. But those are the kind of steps. We look at this 10 steps to evaluate cloud SLAs. So cloud SLAs is a big topic of research right now. SLAs should be driven by the application, as applications are still evolving, right? How do you define these SLAs? How do you define SLAs? So coming from the communication world, the telecom world, the SLAs for a telecom, for a telephone connection, AT&T spent so much time, so much of this user interface research. People used to be called into the labs and they would see how much delay or a dial tone will a person tolerate before he hits the hook again. So all kinds of network delay, ringback tone delay, every single performance metric has been nailed down. And then no matter how you scale the telecom network, you have to adapt, you have to adhere to that delay. Those SLAs are very much cast in concrete. Whereas in the internet world, with Ethernet, by design you cannot guarantee anything. There is no guaranteed delay. The whole architecture is based on this TCP/IP and Ethernet, right? Those protocols don't allow you to guarantee delay. So cloud is kind of working on that infrastructure. So it's a very